get the vibe. Sudowrite rhythm, let the stories come alive. From the spark of desire to a burn.
Welcome, Midnight Makers. I'm Manon, and this is John.
You've entered our 2-night workshop, Halloween Shorts, Drafting and Revision. Housekeeping to keep the seance clean. Please keep camera and mic off. No phantom echoes, no haunted keyboards. Questions? Raise your hand or type question, all caps, in chat so John can spot you fast. We'll do a Q&A at the end, and after we stop the recording, we'll linger for a brief off-camera after hours for anything better discussed by candlelight. What we'll wield across both nights: evaluation plugins for scene development and beat clarity. Import novel for structured editing. Chapter continuity for consistency, spells against plot holes, chapter-by-chapter analysis plugins to sharpen style and pacing. We'll demonstrate in humorous cozy witchcraft, but your cauldron may hold any genre. Aim to draft something you can use as a holiday promo, reader magnet, or series pilot. After the session, watch for a feedback email, your constructive notes or our lanterns. If this helps your craft, a quick 5-star keeps the torches lit for future workshops. Settle in, sharpen your quill, and silence the gremlins in your notifications. Welcome to Fireheart and John's Halloween Shorts, Drafting. Let's light the candles and begin.
Hello, I'm Manon Doucette, also known as Fireheart, a published author and publisher. I write across kids and teen fantasy and practical guides for writers. My series include Twinkle Big Dreams and Max Ramirez and the Underworld Crown, with more worlds on the way. I also teach fast, repeatable writing workshop that takes you from spark to shelf. When I'm not drafting, I'm helping other writers finish and publish their books.
I'm John Creason. I am also a Sudowrite instructor, and I write YA middle grade fiction as well as other things on KDP under the moniker Charles Conjures, Conjers. You can find books that I've got up there. Welcome to the second half of Manon and John's Halloween spooky 3D resume.
A young adult series TV structure guide.
Vision. Yes. Actually, we're not going to look at that today. We did that yesterday. What we're going to do is the whole revision chunk.
So what do I'm sharing right now? The Canva.
Welcome to the second half of Manon and John's Halloween spooky 3D resume.
A young adult series TV structure guide.
Vision. Yes. Actually, we're not going to look at that today. We did that yesterday. What we're going to do is the whole revision chunk, but we have to talk through the front, right?
So we're going to jump over everything. You all know that we like to have your cameras off, not for our own pleasure, but for Sudowrite pleasure and the YouTube channel. So it's time for you to remove your camera and turn off your name or change your name or put spooky names if you want to. The rest will be done on the video. If you see the video that I put together yesterday, and I delete and I correct it because a space of it was missing. That's why it got deleted and back like in 5 minutes later. I will do that on the Canva when I put everything together. So we all know the drill. I don't think, do we have anyone which is brand new, never been to any of our session? You can raise your hands, you can put in the chat, you can make a spooky noise. I don't see the chat. Where's the chat? We all good, John?
We're good. No, everyone's getting coffee. Everyone's some people have some stuff to share. Some people are in the second step. I'm not sure what the second step is today. And Tomas says great session from yesterday, which I did enjoy yesterday, and I've got a lot of forward momentum on quite a few projects. Just from getting started with yesterday and getting set up for today.
Yeah. And I want to say thank you for the little candle light that we had after the session. I did actually rewrite 2 stories with your little spiel that you told me about. Bring my old story in, which is the 2 to 3,000 words, and add the revise and rewrite. I changed a few things. My extra instruction is a lot shorter because everything goes into the world building.
Nice.
So, but the AI still not know how to count words.
No.
No.
How many did you end up with?
10,092, and I need to bring it below to 10,000. So,
That's not too bad. 92, you can probably, put some.
and then there's always like some time where the AI kind of stop at the start of the new chapter and it just do like 2 or 3 paragraph and then oops, it jump and do restart the whole thing again. So these sometimes just the words too many I have are there. For some
So
reason,
yeah, maybe if you get rid of those repeats and restarts, you can pull it down.
yeah. So that
Um,
when we get the edit and we can show the edit, that would be fantastic.
where do we want to start today, or should we go? Did we say we did the housekeeping for enough today?
Already did.
Okay. So today it is all about revision, and my little secret plan about why I had to do it this weekend was to show you what I've been doing with revision. And none of the chat it's not there uh, in the pages. You can get rid of that, and we can go directly to uh, my screen because I added a bunch of stuff into the share link. Okay, so maybe we could share that again. So people have that gusty beginner.
Scene from select brainstorm idea. So Jane, we did go through the second step, the second line of the draft prompt.
No, she got through the second line of the draft prompt.
Ah, okay, perfect.
So that's where she is at the moment. So while we're talking, if you want to run, so you chose one, right? Is that right, Gene?
What is
Yes, Tomas, same link as yesterday. I've added a whole bunch of stuff at the bottom of that.
is your computer up and ready, John? Are you going to be able to present with your computer?
Let's see. Looks like it may be. That's a maybe. We'll see. There's the TV series outline stuff at the top. I put in a whole bunch of links to stuff that I did yesterday. So this is the brainstorm series idea. She got through creating a series Bible, which is pretty good. And she needs to now create a full Bible book one series plan for the development and run that and get that stuff going. But where we're at is I've got the first draft of the first book done, and I'm now in this section called revision. And I'm giving you a bunch of hints on how I automate revision. At the top of this, I got some plugins just to give you an idea of what things cost with revision, because these plugins aren't necessarily cheap. And running a single chapter over and over again through revision isn't necessarily cheap. I think this is pretty close. That I drafted a 4.5 sonnet for about 13,000 for a single chapter, probably around 2,000 to 3,000 words. I ran a plugin, which is my chapter by chapter story audit. I then used the plugin to create a revision, which cost me 18,000 credits. So that revision, it's very similar to running this one, except it's looking at this one in the back. It's connected as a continuity thing, and it's rewriting the story based on my chapter by chapter story audit. So that came out to 18,000. I then did a chapter revision comparison analysis, which is a plugin I have, which will compare the story that you have here in your current document with the continuity linked story. that's working. Manon, one thing I discovered last night was that when we talk about 20,000 K being the limit of your read back, it doesn't read back in the way you expect.
Oh.
It will look at the document chain of your daisy chain documents, and it starts reading from the very top of that chain, and it reads 20,000 words down. It
Which
doesn't read back 20,000 words. It goes to the top of the chain and reads down 20,000 words, and it truncates the rest of those words. So I was in my like third or fourth chapter, and it's telling me, oh, you're not even showing me the first iteration. You're showing me just this outline and the story Bible stuff, because I was leaving in my information that was daisy chained all the way up to the brainstorm session. So that's something to keep in mind. You may need to cut off the daisy chain from the prior revision when you do this revisionist history comparison, so that it can actually look at the last run. And then also when you are drafting your revision, you don't want it to look all the way up because it might cut it off. So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more. But you see what it costs. That I'm analyzing my scene, and then I drafted it again, and then I analyzed it again. The revision comparison analysis. That's checking one version against the prior version.
So you're cutting down the daisy chain to make sure you have less than 20,000 words into your daisy chain, because that's what she's asking there. You cut down your daisy chain, or did you change something to it?
What I did was I cut the daisy chain. I stopped the daisy chain after the previous document. So it's looking up at the last document, but the last document has to have the daisy chain cut.
Okay.
So I'm looking at my revision document. My revision document is looking at my original document, but the original document at that point needs to get its thing cut so that you don't try to go. So it only shows you the outline, and that's what I was seeing yesterday, and that was happening on my plugin. My plugin is supposed to be able to read 350,000 words back, and it's truncated the same way that draft and auto-write are. So I have some plugins that I wanted to share with you guys, and you should be able to grab them from here. One is called the Full Story Eval. This is pretty cheap. It'll cost like 1,000 credits to do a story eval on 20,000 words, maybe 2,000 credits to run a story eval. This is DeepSeek version 3. I changed it back. Actually, sorry, that was recap. Recap started out as DeepSeek version 3. People complaining because sometimes there were some outages with DeepSeek, so somebody moved it to Claude 3.7. That's really expensive. Might be really great, but it's really expensive for a summary that was recap. So I switched it back to DeepSeek. The chapter by chapter story audit and the chapter revision comparison analysis are both Gemini Pro 2.5, and they can see a lot, and they write a lot. So they will, if they don't write a complete chapter by chapter, like it starts grouping your chapters together, you can ask it again and reinforce it. You want every chapter by itself in the pop-up, or you can ask for, well, I have the first half, please start at chapter 12, and it'll continue on if you just ran out of words or something. So my chapter by chapter story audit is what I do on it's what I run that gives me good ideas, and it's sort of like a developmental editor pass for each chapter. You can run it on a single chapter, or you can run it on a full story full of chapters, and it will give you information. You can run it once, and you can use each one as an individual scene, and sort of rewrite a complete book from one to another, or you can do this chapter by chapter. And so underneath here, I have my revision workflows, and these should probably be further. I can't see it. Okay. The revision workflows that I'm going to talk about today is do a full draft into a full revision. So that would be a bunch of scenes all run at the same time for full revision. And that would involve taking that chapter by chapter story audit, which is run on a full draft, taking it, sticking it into a new book or a new document that looks back at the full draft original, and you chop it up into its scenes for each instruction set for each chapter, and the instruction set at the bottom for the entire book you can stick into extra instructions, add it to what you already have in extra instructions, and then it will do that rewrite of each chapter. That's, I go back and forth on and which one of these is the better way to go. What I have been really enjoying is the chapter by chapter draft 2 revision. So I do the first chapter, and then I want to do a revision on that first chapter, and then maybe I want to do another revision on that revision. So I might do this twice, but often by that time it's down to a point where it's saying, okay, here's some ideas of something you can add, and it's very easy to go in and just sort of add its ideas in, and you don't have to do a revision pass and pay for that. You can just sort of take the advice of the chapter by chapter story audit and add a few ideas in. I've been using, last night I've been using 4.5, Sonnet 4.5, and I've been getting a really great thing with Sonnet 4.5, and that's that it's really good at keeping the good stuff and rewriting the stuff that needs rewriting. So I wasn't with excellent is excellent, and if I'm having problems with 4.5, which also has a tendency to get a little longer and a little longer each time I run it, if there's some structural logical element, I might do this revision in excellent, running it against a Muse original or a 4.5 original, and it'll kind of fix up the structural issues. But if there aren't really structural issues, and you may want to try this in the revision, if you use 4.5 again, 4.5 is really good at leaving the stuff that sounds great in there completely without just rewriting everything. At least that's what it still has the same beginning and the same end and the same stuff. There's just some extra stuff being added in. It's not rewriting stuff that already sounds good.
Can I ask you a
And
question?
then yeah.
So you said that, just go back a bit, because if people is starting from the start with the daisy chain, so did you reduce your daisy chain, or did you try to smash it all together? What did you do? So for the people who's going to start a new story, what do you do with the daisy chain now?
Okay, so what I do with the daisy chain is you can use the daisy chain up to 20,000 words. So as long as your daisy chain doesn't have more than 20,000 words, it's going to pull the whole thing in.
Okay, my suggestion here, John, is to take everything in all those daisy chain, put them inside ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT to reduce it to like by half at least, and just having one daisy chain, like one major part, instead of having like 3 daisy chain, it's all in one, and link it to the story.
You could do that. The thing is that when I'm doing this revision rewrite thing, what's important is that it sees the previous chapter. And when I run the original, when I do the first draft of the chapter, I wanted to see the full kind of daisy chain that I had before. I want to see the story Bible of the brainstorm stuff. I want to see that when I'm writing that first draft of the original pass. I wanted to see that stuff in the brainstorm, and so that's when that matters. When I'm running the revision, I wanted to take the notes which I'm using in my from my chapter by chapter story audit. I want to take those notes as my scene, and I want it to look at the actual past chapter and rewrite the past chapter using these notes. And so at that point, the daisy chain is not as important. What's more important is that it focuses on the chapter that was written before and the chapter we're writing right now.
Yes,
If that makes sense. The rewrite of it. Yes? Is another question? Quilpin.
Hi, John. Hi, Manon. I just wanted to echo what you just are laying out here because it's amazing. And I want to make sure I have it down pat. So if I want to revise a chapter, my process would be first draft is in a document. I copy that and highlight it, and then run that chapter by chapter story audit. It'll spit out a bunch of notes. So I'm going to include the notes in the same document. So I've got the rough draft at the top, the results of what the plugin gave me, and then underneath that, that's where I am running the new like 4.5 or something, or whatever.
Actually,
whatever
so the way I've been doing it is like this. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can run it, but again, the way I've been running it is with another document. So here you can see that I have this is the brainstorm for Resting Witch Face. It's a project I started yesterday. Then I have one just for my outline, but that's not in the daisy chain. Here's my original chapter 1. That's hooked up to Resting Witch Face, and it writes using the chapter summary for chapter 1.
Can you show
That's
us,
the original chapter 1.
can you show us your typewriters and what you did there to see with
Yeah.
the
Give it a little sec. I've also shared each of these documents with you, but you can't see into my scenes in those documents. So those documents are all in the shared design stuff if you want to take a look at the step ways through. So here's my chapter 1, which is my beginning state. And this is this, let's see. And here's my extra instructions. And so this document, if I look at it, so RWF is Resting Witch Face. It continues from the end of Resting Witch Face. Resting Witch Face is my brainstorming document for this series.
Okay. So what the revision chapter looks like?
So the revision chapter, after I ran this, I went in here and I did a story audit chapter by chapter.
Yep.
And then I copied that and I duplicated or created another document called Revision Chapter 1. Revision 1, Chapter 1. And I have this looking at the original Chapter 1. And it was okay for the first chapter to leave the original Chapter 1 looking back up at Resting Witch Face, which is the big brainstorm. So for this one, I did have the daisy chaining back to Resting Witch Face, and it was okay because that's less than 20,000 words. So here is at the top of this, it's just a single scene. It says revise and rewrite, and it's the entire chapter 1 audit is that scene. It's very big because at the very bottom, where it normally looks at the entirety of a book, the multiple chapters of a book. This is only run on a single chapter. So I just put the whole thing in here as a scene and left my instructions as they were, left my person and my past tense. And I do this with continuity turned on and run it against scene 1. Now, in order to keep this toggle, this continuity toggle, and to sort of keep my extra instructions, what I did was I just copied the original chapter 1 RWF. I copied that document, duplicated that document under the 3 things. I hit duplicate, and then I renamed this document. I got rid of all the words and daisy chained it to the original document, so that it would be able to look back at the original document and write that new chapter 1, which actually looks a lot like the old chapter 1 because Claude 4.5 Sonnet does not do that weird kind of rewrite of every single idea the way that excellent can do. Excellent will look at it and it'll change the wording of sentences that don't need to change. I've been finding right now that the Claude 4.5 sonnet is very good at leaving sentences that sound good already, and then just adding in chunks that are being suggested by the instructions.
So you said something very important there, John. So basically, when you read chapter 1 and you love chapter 1, but there's a few things which need to be fixed, but not exactly the rewriting, 4.5 is better to use than 3.7 because 3.7 is going to kind of rewrite sentence or chapter or paragraph.
It rewrites words, like it'll use different words. The sentences will be almost the same, and then the words themselves might have groupings or phrasing that's slightly different, or it's going to use a different analogy or something. And so, yeah, it gets. I've been finding that 4.5 is very good at leaving the good stuff and adding better stuff. And then this is the other plugin I use, which is the chapter revision comparison analysis. In order to run this, you have to select your chapter that you want to compare. And it's very good at looking at the chapter that you've selected. So it's easy here. It's chapter 1. I just select the whole thing. But if I was in chapter 3, I could just select chapter 3 and it would look back up at the previous chapter, which has all the chapters in it, including chapter 3. And it would only compare chapter 3 against chapter 3. And what does my chapter revision comparison analysis look like? This will run anywhere from 10 or 12,000 credits for this analysis to 20,000 to more as the book gets longer and longer, it gets more and more expensive. So the revision analysis is something like, excellent, this is a fantastic foundation. Let's break down the changes, assess their effectiveness, and identify opportunities for the next revision pass. As your developmental editor, my goal is to help you elevate this already strong opening into something truly exceptional that will hook an agent, an editor, and ultimately your readers. First, let's address your direct questions. Have I made this better? Yes, unequivocally, the revision is a significant improvement over the original draft in almost every respect. It's richer, deeper, and more emotionally resonant. Is there any revision made at all? Yes, substantial revisions have been made. Key additions include the entire backstory of Junie's mother and her failed magic, the introduction of the magical GPA system, the physical confrontation with Lexi's minion, and a much more active and thematically complex ending. Are there any parts from the first draft that are superior? No. The revision is a wholesale improvement. The original draft's dialogue about the plagiarism spell was a minor distraction, but was wisely cut, and every descriptive passage and plot point has been enhanced in the revision. Should I revert back to the original draft in any place, especially the start and ending? Absolutely not. The revised start establishes character motivation far more effectively, and the revised ending is vastly superior. It transforms a passive conclusion into an active, forward-moving one that perfectly sets up the story's primary conflict. Now, again, you can use this, like if you rewrite it yourself and you want to check your own work, you can do that. I'm using it to check the revision draft that I'm doing here, but you can also use it for handwritten stuff. Genre assessment, it does the genre and set. You want to talk to me?
Yeah, you have a small question there by Quill Pen. So what if there's something that the person or the writer wants to fix, a special format that is personal to that writer? How would you go about it? Is there something to put in your plugin at the start of the plugin that says, I want you to look at this in specific?
Yes, there is a pop-up that happens when you are going to run the plugin. And you can add in your own questions or suggestions or sort of formatting information. You could try, and it'll take a lot, at least 2,000, most likely. I've upped that because I also will put stuff in like that. This is my chapter revision analysis, comparison analysis, and it has a pop-up. And you can type stuff in there, or if you hit it by accident, you don't want to actually make it happen, you can always X out and go away. I've opened up those instructions. So if you want to make your own version of this plugin, feel free to do so and ask your own questions in your own plugin specifically to to work the way you'd like to work if it's not working from what you're getting from me. You don't have to. I didn't hide it so you can't use it. You can't change it. Part of what I'm doing here is sharing a lot of my processes and my plugins, and I'm hoping that people will share alike and come up with better ideas and feed them back into me and the system. So good question. Thank you, Quilpen.
Jeffrey says, I'm a little concerned about how that plugin assert that it is a revision was superior without question. How can it be sure that it's accurate?
I am a little concerned about that too, because I hear that a lot when I'm working with this process. Um, is it blowing smoke? Maybe. I have done things with all of these, and this is one of the reasons why I like the full story eval, which is DeepSeek v3, because it'll if it fails, it'll tell me that it's failing. If it doesn't like it, it's going to say it doesn't like it. I get it's not every single time it says it's wonderful. I'm getting a lot of every single time the revision thing thinks it's wonderful, but at the same time, what I'm also getting is um, I'm getting information about how to fix it still. So, like what I did here was I didn't run another pass of the chapter by chapter story audit on my revision. I only ran the chapter revision comparison analysis, and then I used the chapter revision comparison analysis suggestions as my scene for my second revision. So I did another pass at this one. So I've got revision 2, chapter 1, that's looking at revision 1, chapter 1, and it's using the chapter revision comparison analysis, specifically the stuff in about chapter 1, or maybe I did the whole thing in that.
As John is looking for that, just understand too, the AI is not there to just write for you, or that is not there to write the whole story for you, the whole chapter. You still have to read it and make your own change and look at it and see if you like it.
What I will say though is that if you feel like you're getting to the point where you're trying to understand this, you're trying to get through it, and you don't have time to read it, or you're not sure if it's good enough to read, that's kind of what these full story evaluator is for. So, like, let's run the full story evaluator and see what it says on that one single chapter. It may or may not like it. Sometimes a single chapter is going to trigger it because it's not a complete story, but often a chapter 1 or a prologue will say it's good because it feels, like a good start to the story.
Now I have a big question for you. You're not dealing with an editor, but doing this, would you say that you would write the story without reading it and get all those plugins to do the stuff for you and send that to your editor without reading it?
Oh no. Would I? Maybe. The thing is, when I run this, when I'm running what we're doing here, and I'm running it through my full story eval, I'm getting pretty high numbers. These 9 out of 10s in places, and sometimes 10 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s. This is stuff I'm getting with that model, which is the 4.5 sonnet, and it's also this revision process is pushing these numbers up. What you need to be looking for, I've got readability of 10 out of 10, a genre convention adherence of 10 out of 10 for this cozy YA, whatever those conventions are. Overall reader experience, 10 out of 10. This is amazing. Those are so like this kind of thing is easy to read. So like when you start seeing numbers like that, it's like, okay, maybe it's time for me to read it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying there. John likes to do all those plugins until he has all those little green thing. Then he's going to read. Because he says, no, I'm not losing my time. I'm going to read. If the AI think it's good, I'm reading it.
Well, also it gets good and you don't get frustrated as a reader when after it's passed those tests. And maybe you find something, because the kind of things that get missed are the needles in the haystack. The Sometimes it's a single sentence or a single paragraph where it starts out, and then it kind of flips the logic, and it's talking about the mother in the third person as though it's not the protagonist's mother, and it's supposed to be in first person or something. So you'll get those kind of weird things or some kind of illogical geographic information that's like, if you did this, you can't do that, or biomechanical issues. People don't move in that way, so you need to look for those little things as you're reading through. And that's another reason why it's important to have a human read it, because a human is going to respond viscerally when something doesn't feel right.
So far, does everyone understand what the workflow of John, that it's writing, the outline is going from the brainstorm, which we did yesterday, linked up that, do his first chapter, then you do the revision, use all his plugin, then you do you do your chapter 2, you link it to your chapter 1, then you write your chapter 2, then you do the revision, and so on and so forth. Now, you finish the whole book doing this and you're happy with it. That would be the next step, or there's something missing?
If you get to the end of that and you're happy with it, then it's not like you're done, but you're kind of done. You're almost done. You're at the point where you need to stick it on your Kindle, read it, and take notes, and then come back with those notes, and or run it through other processes that are looking for repetitive phrases. I've found that by doing this, I'm getting rid of a lot of repetitive phrases, because these plugins are calling those out. And then when it does the revision, it changes them up, especially as I'm working this way where it's chapter by chapter. And the thing that I'm trying to figure out is whether this is a better way to go. Again, once I'm down here at revision 1, chapter 3, Resting Witch Phase, I'm already at like 3 chapters, and I think I'm at 12,000 words or more. So it's writing long, and it's also because I probably, it thinks it's YA. It's kind of like a fantasy romancy kind of thing, so it writes really long, and the chapters are getting bigger as I'm doing these revisions. So I'm a little hesitant about this method, but I think it is actually really great for the beginning of a book. And then I may get to a point where I say, okay, I'm just going to run the rest of the chapters. I've got the beginning working beautifully. I'm going to hook my readers in, and I just want to run the rest of these chapters and then work on this in a more full book way. But right now, I haven't gotten to the end of a book yet, so I may get back to this story and get through it. Moonbrook here, I did slightly differently. So I outlined Moonbrook, and then I ran the entirety of Moonbrook in a single pass. So Moonbrook is another document that I gave you guys, and it represents a different way of working, where instead of working one chapter at a time and revising it and getting it right before I move to the next chapter, I wrote Moonbrook entirely in a single pass of all the chapters in here. Show me. Okay, so there's chapter 1 and down to chapter 8. This was an 8-chapter thing, and I ran that entirety in a single original draft, and then I exported that as a docx file, and then I did a novel import. There we go. No, that's a different thing. Did a novel import. There we go. So there's my novel import of Moonbrook. And what is great about getting a novel import of a first draft is that you've kind of frozen. It's like you've gone from an outline to a first draft that is all sort of this one pass. And then you get a story Bible built out, which I didn't have in the previous workflow. I didn't have them in my original, but it's available to me here as part of my my rewrite. It comes out with a genre that's sort of different than what I had started with, but I'm kind of cool with leaving the genre that it comes up with. You can add your custom style back in if you want. And again, you know what the novel import does. But what's important is I've got all my chapters up here. Okay, that's great. And so you now have the opportunity of revising each chapter individually, or you can go down into the trash and restore your original book that has all the chapters in it.
Full manuscript.
Full manuscript. And then we can run the plugin on that full manuscript, the plugin being the chapter by chapter story audit. And then I can break that up and run it against do a full revision against a full story. So if I'm in here as Moonbrook, see how long Moonbrook is. Moonbrook is 8 chapters. It's probably anywhere from 12 to 17,000 words. And it's actually kind of nice. I've shared that with you guys as well. So what I would do here is I would run my chapter by chapter audit on Moonbrook. Chapter by chapter story audit.
On chapter 1.
The entirety. Oh, I'm on chapter 1. Sorry, thank you.
You're welcome.
Moonbrook.
Because I'm still looking at how many words you have, and it would just say 1,715. So that's not a full book.
That's not what I'm looking for. So again, if you do this novel import of a single draft, it gives you the story Bible at the bottom. It gives you the chapters broken out, and then you can decide if you want to run a revision of the entire book, or do you want to run a revision of each chapter by chapter. And that is a total possibility, a total good way to go that you could, and then it makes it really easy to compare revision chapter 1 with chapter 1, revision chapter 2 with chapter 2, and you can keep those guys separate from each other. Though I would probably make sure that these are all linked with each other. So 2 is linked to 1, 3 is linked to 2, 4 is linked to 3, 5 is linked to 4. That way, up through here, so that when you are writing, and then I would write into a single document, but I would just change the chapter that I'm looking at, my continuity link chapter. As I'm rewriting, I would look at the chapter 1, then the chapter 2, then the chapter 3 as I write, so that when it's writing, it can look back at the previous newest, bestest revision text for the prior chapters as it's writing forward. Okay, but there's 2 ways to do this. One is to look at the entire book, and one would be to work one chapter at a time. So Moonbrook, it's 10,000, so it's not too bad. It's closer to the idea that we were trying to hit. And I'm going to run my plugin, which is revision chapter by chapter story audit. Manon, did you want to share something that you have done with this stuff already, or does anyone else want to talk about or bring up something that they've done? Because right now I'm waiting to show this thing, but I put most of my notes into the Notion, so you can probably figure out if there's a particular methodology that calls to you. Plus, I'll show this to you because it's kind of fun, because it's similar to drafting the entire thing the entire story in one go, because you're going to revise the entire story in one go.
Basically, on my part, I'm going to, after the session, when everything has been put in Canva and everything is ready for the upload for the YouTube and the Sudowrite, I will go back inside all the notes and I will show both versions, so chapter by chapter, including the revision with all the cut down for not waiting for the generation that happened. And I will also do the one which is going to write the whole book in one fuseau, like we used to say in the past. So that would be my big job.
That's a big job, and getting that recorded and stuff is great. So
Yeah.
very cool. Thank you.
I know we have a few which did write, and I really like to hear from, I believe Michelle, Quill Pen also, and someone else did use it and had very good results. I really like to hear from them how they deal with what they tried. And even Thomas. Thomas, did you use it?
Not yet, Tomas. Okay, so I got my copy here of my
But Quill Pen did. So I really like her to share with us if possible.
I would love to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Do you want me to jump in?
Yes.
I'm Quill Pen. Okay, so yeah, I went through the whole process just that you laid out last night. Did them one by one. I didn't actually use a witchcraft thing. I just used something that's a little bit more pertinent to what I normally do, just because
That's
I
great.
know what I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with. But what's interesting is that I usually work in historical fantasy, middle grade. And so I gave it medieval, which is not a period I usually work in, because I thought this will be a real challenge, simply because that's much more world building than you would expect from like a, contemporary American setting or something like that. So I wanted to see how well it would do, and it came up with this adorable story. It gave me 3 ideas. I wanted magical creatures and a boy protagonist and cozy, whimsical, some adventure in there and that sort of thing. And it gave me 3 really good story ideas. Then I realized how important it is to put in at the bottom of those where you said you have to type out, I choose whatever one is the winner, or choice number 1 wins, or whatever it was. Because I tried to move on to step 2 without doing that, because I thought that was just for fun, just for us to realize, no, you're telling the AI the one to work on. So okay, so then it worked. Then I proceeded along, and I felt like, oh my God, like I was totally getting away with something when it just did a whole story Bible for me, like with one little click, moving it to scene 2. And it was funny because and I used Claude 4.5, like you said. I prefer it to Muse a little bit, but it was funny because it's always coming back to giving you those little cautionary messages, like, this is not a scene. You realize you're giving me a prompt or an instruction. This is not a scene that you want me to write. And I'm like, yeah, just go ahead and do it. And it did it just fine. And so then I forget even which the third one was. The third, I don't have it in front of me, but it worked out. Was that?
Create the outline, likely.
Create the outline, yes. Okay. So that is one little thing I had a question for you about. It did create the outline, and I didn't scrutinize it because I just wanted to see how all this was going to work. I did, however, leave it in the brainstorming document because I felt like we did that. I know that, like, when I continued to move on, rather than, because it takes up so much space, there was a part of me that was thinking, am I supposed to take this out and only put it aside and only put the scenes in later in the scenes box? But I just left it where it was, because you know how like the AI, if it knows what's coming, at least it used to, if it knew what was going to happen in the story, it would blow all the secrets right away.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to be doing that.
It gave me okay. 4.5 seems smart that way. So I'm kind of like okay with that. But sometimes I try to chop it off and say, okay, don't know the future. But
right. Yeah, it seems like it took it in stride. I mean, 4.5 is really smart. So the writing it did was beautiful. But I did want to just add that as far as the outline goes, it gave me 10 chapters plus a prologue and an epilogue. So I thought that was
Okay.
interesting. And when I let's see, there was a fourth step. Can you remind me what that was? Oh, it was like the episodes are. I can't remember what the fourth step was. Oh,
I
I'll
think,
just open it.
yeah,
Duh.
I
Reset back to the beginning of book one and create the chapter by chapter. No, that was the outline. Okay, so then we just jumped into the writing,
Mhm.
and it was terrific. I've been writing for a very, very, very long time, multiple decades at a professional level, and it was actually daunting. Like, oh crap, this is better than me, and my degree is and all my published credits, and I was like, oh wow, I'm
it's
humbled.
it's also
So,
hard to understand this. This is you. This is partly
yeah,
your ideas. This is your stuff coming out, and
yeah,
even if it, and it, especially if, are you using a sample in the guide for
yes,
Muse, then that's
yeah, that,
fed
yeah.
into Sonnet 4.5. So
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's not just the
thank you.
AI.
My ego thanks you. All right. Well, so I did generate the whole entire thing, and it came out to like 20,000 words. The cost seemed exorbitant. By the time I got like through chapter 4 or 3 or something like that, including, well, it was 4 chapters because there was a prologue in there. I felt like I had gone through like a third of my credits
Wow.
somehow, like an enormous amount, but it might not have been. I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to it. But so what I did was I'm on the my voice beta.
Yeah.
So I ran the rest of the chapters in my voice and saved costs on it that way. Now I'm just going to have to like look through, like take a peek and go, oh, does my voice suck now? Next to after how beautifully Claude 4.5 kicked us off with the first several chapters. But anyway, that's the whole story. And I'm thrilled. And I was sharing it with my husband. He's like, that is really good. And he's a critic too. So I'm
Isn't that
thrilled.
amazing?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Thank
Now
you
I
for
just want to
sharing
know
that.
how to
That's
apply this
amazing.
to the stuff that I am working on. So, but I'll
Oh,
shut up and let the next.
I
Oh,
think
go
it's
ahead.
totally available for that, especially this idea of this revision thing where you compare one version versus another version, and then you use the instructions as a scene writer
Hmm.
that will revise and rewrite the previous thing. So you were working one chapter at a time?
No, I did a batch of them. I ran like I put the continuity button or the continue writing button, the
Yeah.
slider on, and it just like boop 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 just ran right through prologue 1, 2, 3, and then I paused it because I had to go eat dinner, and I came back later and I looked at the cost and I was like, So I just stayed in that same document, and when I resumed, and I had switched over into my voice again, I just used the continuous writing, and it went all the way to the end of the document without any hiccups or anything, which was impressive for the my voice draft. Considering it's in beta, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've been getting good stuff out of my voice.
Hmm.
I think it's well informed to get it going. Get your first chapters as good as you can, where you go, oh,
Hmm.
this is great, because that's when you hook the readers, and after that, you can use less expensive
Hmm.
mode of getting the rest of the
Hmm.
book out.
Yeah, I was really pleased. So thank you so much for sharing that with us because that was incredible. I mean, it was a number of just a few hours, and I had a story of 20,000 words, to
Yeah,
work with, and it's really
that's
cute.
that's what I'm finding, and it is a lot of work.
Hmm.
Like once you get the story, you've now got a lot of work to fix it and
Hmm.
to read it and to listen to it and do whatever you need to do to make it yours
Right.
more, right?
Right. And I
Uh,
wanted to thank Manon also because she gave us the tip to use Speechify to listen to it. And that
yes.
really sped the work along too. So thank you.
Welcome. I'm using specified at 1.5 speed, and I'm
Hmm.
with my specified, I'm reading, and Grammarly is correcting as I go too. So yeah, all
Nice.
three together.
Hmm.
That's how I edit my book and find all my error and fix things until I'm happy with it before I send it to my editor.
Hmm.
Yep. And I put down in the chat also that I use medium.com/manonlove. That's where all my alpha and beta readers are. So all my story, basically, when I need alpha beta readers, I just send it over there and I put it on, hey, alpha, go read.
Nice.
Yep. And we have Jeffrey, which has a question. Thank you so much, Quill.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
It was fantastic. Thank you.
Mine wasn't so much a question as just a little comment on what I had done, and the rabbit hole that I went down was that I started brainstorming a story idea that I wanted. I didn't go with the Halloween theme, went with something that was more along the lines that the stuff that I write. And the problem that I ran into is that I liked pieces of option one and pieces of option two, and trying to get the brainstorm to then take and merge those two concepts. I was able to tell it, okay, so in my draft to redo it, I pasted in what concept one and concept two were. And then above that, I said, all right, I want to use parts of each of these. I want these specific things from concept one to be a part of the theme, but these things from concept two to also be a part of the theme. You know, these are the parts that I find that are important. And it took quite a while to chug through it and do all of that. But I liked what I got so far. I mean, I still have a ton of work to do going forward from that. But for me, that kind of helped me see that, okay, there wasn't any one specific concept that in and of itself sold me, but there were parts from here and parts from there that I liked, and it was able to take that with my instructions and combine those and give me output that I was more happy with, to be able to then move forward using the rest of the tools that John and Manon showed yesterday.
So that's pretty cool. So where did you put that information? Into scenes, into extra instructions, into the document that you're writing?
Into the scene, what I did is I went back and deleted everything that was initially in my scene. I took and I copied. So if you'll go to like your brainstorm exercise there,
Yeah.
where you had the had it brainstorm out 3 different options.
Yeah.
And then the winners and all that. I would have done my winners aren't just one. I would have said winner is 2 and 3. And I would have see what that come up with.
Yeah, I would have
And
I would have added it into the instructions. Well, like where I said this thing wins, I would put exactly what you said,
Yeah.
but just into that thing, and then have it keep writing after what you wrote to it, and that would have influenced it as well. But I think it sounds like you got something you like, so that's great.
Yeah,
And I would like to
I
know a
mean,
little
for
bit
me,
more
I
about how you did
put
that.
concept one, concept two into the draft, where originally we just had, hey, brainstorm out 3 different ideas. I put both of those in there, and then the step above that, step 1, I said, I want to take these pieces from concept 1 below and these pieces from concept 2, create me something that that melds those two together.
That's
And
great.
for me, that ended up coming out with something that I liked, that I think I can move forward with.
Great.
That's
So
amazing.
go Jeffrey after that.
What'd
I'm
you say,
sorry,
Manuel?
I say How far did you go after that? When you got that concept done, did you go into the next step and start to chapter 1, or did the whole?
I didn't have the time yet, Manon. But that is where after this session, that's exactly where I'm headed, is back in to have it start working on chapter 1, have it work through and give me the, chapter by chapter. So I'll keep you posted how it goes.
Thank you.
For the result. Hi, Michelle.
Michelle Harris?
I'm unmuting. How are you guys doing?
Good.
So
I'm good.
I wrote actually 60,000 words.
Woohoo!
Yes, I did the same thing Jeffrey did. I did a lot of kit boshing with actually 8 different stories. Um, so I was able to come up with something that I'm not even sure if it's a normal genre or not. It created a genre for me, for my story, a family horror. It turned into like a family found horror story. And
Nice.
I ran into problems when I got to, I think, chapter 11. So I found myself disconnecting or taking things out the daisy chain and doing summary. So what I did was I did a quick summary. Like Manon said, I took it out of Sudowrite. I took everything over to, I think, Chat GPT. I did a complete summary of everything that I did, used that one document and attached it to my last 3 chapters that I needed to write, and it was able to write the rest. So I sent it to my daughter today. She read it and she said it was an 8.6 out of a 10.
Wow.
And yeah, she said that, Mom, this is a really great story
Mm.
and is unique. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. I don't even know where you got this from. And I was like, I tried to explain kitboshing to her. She didn't understand. So I just told her I took a lot of concepts and just smashed them all together and I got a story. And from there, I'm in the process now of, like I said, doing heavy editing right now, making sure that all my shun list stuff is not in the story. And hopefully I can have this out and post it up on the board so you guys can read it.
Fantastic. I'd love to take a look at that when you want to share. This is amazing. This is really, really cool. So you had to do some kit bashing at the beginning.
Yes,
And you were running it in 4.5
yes, I was. I actually was kit bashing in Muse.
in Muse. Okay, so using high creativity 10 like or something, or what
Yes,
were
I did
you?
the 10 like you said.
That is kind of cool because you get some weird stuff with Muse going at 10, and it's perfect for brainstorming. Um, but you when you got to chapter 11, it felt like it was disconnected from the story Bible.
It did. It was kept running for some reason, chapter 10. Even,
That's why.
even,
That's why. Okay. What's going on is the read back was not seeing that you had made it to chapter 10.
mhm.
Do you know where you were in terms of how long the book was at that point?
I think I was probably at like 50 something thousand words.
And the what was the were you only connected to the story Bible or well what sorry the
I was
brainstorm?
completely in a daisy chain. I was still completely in the daisy chain. And it let me get that far without it glitching. And then when it started glitching about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was like, oh, okay, let me unlink this. Let me do for my last class that Manon and you said, take everything out and just do a summary. And that's what I did. So I took it out, did the summary, dropped everything back in with the summary, and then I only used the summary, and then I did chapter 10, 11, and no, chapter 11, 12, and 13
Okay,
from
that's
the
great.
summary.
Okay, that you that's a perfect workaround. So what you were working with individual chapters, it was like chapter 1, chapter 2 is linked to
Yes.
chapter 1, chapter 3 is linked to
Hmm.
chapter 2. Okay, so that's you're hitting that limitation of that 20,000 words, even though you got to 50,000 words and it seemed like it was okay. Okay. But I'm telling you what it was doing was it wasn't reading back uh the same way as if it was in this if it was in the document that you're writing, you
Mhm.
can write 100,000 words in a single document, and draft will read back all the way up, especially with Claude 4.5, in a single document. What I was seeing happening was when you have a long daisy chain like that, it starts at the top of the daisy chain and it truncates 20,000 words after the top of the daisy chain. So you were probably maybe if you were 50,000 words by chapter 10, you were probably it was probably chopped at the end of chapter at the end of Act 1, like chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, somewhere in there. It probably wasn't seeing the rest of the chapters. So it wasn't really giving good continuity between chapter 10 and chapter 11. And it felt like it was rewriting chapter 10 again and again and again, which is
That sounds right.
sort of amazing in its own little way. It's like, okay, well, maybe it's giving you more words than it's supposed to, but I'm not sure. But what I would have done differently, I think, is I would have written it in a single document, and then it would have been able to read the entirety of the whole thing back. And when I write in a single document, I ask it to add chapter indicators as it's writing it. And I'm not totally advocating that you do this, because it sounds like you got a workflow that's working for you, and you have a workaround when it fails. So, don't take my word for it. But like I said, what I would have done probably is build the entire first draft in a single document. You weren't doing any revision passes, right? At this point, because this was just what we were doing with yesterday.
No, I wasn't doing any revisions until early this morning. About 5 o'clock, I started doing the revisions.
But you're doing them by hand, and your
I,
daughter read the whole thing.
she read it and she said it was an 8.6 out of a 10.
That's fantastic. Yeah, cool. So
That,
I don't know that you need the revision stuff. It sounds like you're on the way. But if you wanted to try it, you could try it. And what I would do differently, perhaps, to write the whole thing, is that I would write the whole thing in a single document. And were you making changes? Were you reading as it did chapter by chapter? How were you
I was doing
interacting?
verification from every step, from the beginning to the end. I was verifying everything, making sure that
Oh,
the
you're so
correct
good.
characters were in every chapter, because I have a boy in the chapter. He's a ghost and he actually doesn't have a name. He's just boy. And I was wondering if I should actually give him a name. And my daughter did bring that up. She was like, I don't know if just calling him a boy is good or not. Maybe you should
Mm,
just give him a name.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, phew. It sounds like you did. So you were doing a lot of editing work as you were working. You were fixing things that were broken or that needed fixing.
Yes, I was. I
Or,
was doing both at the same time. So from the very beginning, when I first started the daisy chain, I read everything that it gave me. I verified everything that I wanted after the kitbosh and stuff was done. I verified what I wanted. I have a really shun list of names. I do not use first names and last names, including also towns and places like that that are continuously used with
mm-hmm,
LLMs. So
mm-hmm,
I use that to make sure none of those names was in there. And then I did a lot of reading. So it was a lot of reading. So I believe that my original document to actually run everything was something like 15,000 words, which was really shocking. I didn't think it would get that high so quick, but it did. Um, so I
mm-hmm.
tried to get rid of stuff as much to cut it down some, but I do know it was frightfully expensive
Ah,
to write the book, which I expected that much for it to be expensive like it was,
so one of the
especially
things,
with 4.5.
yeah, one of the things you could do is you could just in the outline alone. So you could break the outline up and put it in its own document, and then you don't actually have to look at the outline from the previous from chapter 1. You don't need to see the full outline. In fact, you might want to hide it. Um, and so that might actually save you a few credits by just sort of chopping out and culling the brainstorm document of information like the projects that you didn't use, or the elements that feel repetitive that you don't need, keep the story Bible stuff, but don't keep, or make a special story Bible document that you'd use, take it to ChatGPT and get it to spit out a better story Bible for you, or something that you could use as a readback, rather than have a 15,000 word document that you're repeatedly ingesting for every chapter,
Can I bring up?
right? Yeah.
I put in a chat there when you said about the name, because a lot of story for middle grade and children, the AI is talking about a ghost or a hooded figure, but they're not a person, they are a they or them or it. So in the chat there, I put something that solved that problem for my story making, which is basically forcing the AI to take the character and give it a name. It can still be the ghost, the boys, but at some point the AI will give it a name. So this is my my little prompt is in the chat, so that can help. And for me, it's important that it's pronounceable in both language, French and English.
Thank
So
you
use
very
this as a
much.
card.
This is part of my big extra instruction, because it's very important for me, because my editor is having, that's a pit peeve for her. She says, who's they, who's them? Says, listen, come to the new world. We're in 2025. There's people now that they don't have a he or a she. They are having a different things. I says, I know I don't like it either, but this is what's happening. But for solving this, because John, I think I worked very hard on getting those gender aligned properly for children books. But this is my little prompt that I put inside, and it's working pretty good. And it's also kind of helping with the editing part when you're tired of saying, Manon said, Manon think, Manon did this, Manon did that. And I said, okay, I'm tired that every paragraph my name is in it. So yeah, this says, okay, the little adventurer did go farther away. And then she said, and then Manon is there, Manon the little adventurer, and then it's kind of making a rotation and not repeating the name of the character all the time.
Nice.
So hope that helped.
I love it. I love it. I don't know that you need this revision workflow at all. It sounds like you are on top of it and fast. So 60,000 words in one night, reading it and fixing it,
Yeah.
amazing. So I don't know that you need to work with this revision workflow, because it looks like you're catching it. But I would suggest trying the plugins, because they may give you good ideas.
I'm going to use your plugin, and I want to thank the both of you. I've learned so much working with it, both of you with these classes, and it has helped. As you all know, my mother was a proofreader for Congress, so I have all of my mother books, and she actually taught me proofreading as a little girl growing up, how to proofread and how to do speed reading. And my background is law. So I had to do a lot of reading from a young adult until now in my mid 50s. So this is actually has helped me a lot.
That's amazing. Now, did you use a sample prose in your Muse or 4.5?
I use my own writing.
Good.
In as a sample prose?
Yeah. That's
Okay,
I
so
wanted
that
it to sound like me. Yes.
so it does, right? I mean,
Yes, it sounds like me. Yes.
yeah, it does. When we see it in the draft, it doesn't look like you have sample prose for Sonnet 4.5, but it does use it. So if you put it in for Muse, it's the same sample that's used for Excellent, and that same sample is used for most of the Claudes.
Yep. And on that, I'm going to add something, because as you know, I write in English, I write in French. Even though I'm translating my story in French, the joke in English are not the same than the joke in French. So the books are having the same story, but things are changing. But in that little box that John talked about, in my notes, I have a little story in French, exactly my voice, and I have the same kind of story in English with my voice. And if I do adult stories, it's also in my notebooks. So basically, they always ready. So I just copy, paste, and not having always the same voice. Like John is having all his kinky stuff in his box. For me, that doesn't work. I'm not happy with that. So basically, I took my notes and I built in my notebooks in my Mac, and then I just copy and paste wherever the genre I'm writing in and put it in those boxes. So just a tricks that you don't have to lose them anywhere, but get them close to you right there in your notebooks.
So where are you putting it? You're putting it in Notion, you're putting it inside of the project.
Notes. Oh yeah,
You're
typically inside when you go in the choose your model.
yes.
You know that little square, the model, you put 1,000 of your own writing to help the model to write like you.
Yes.
That's where I take these from my notes, which is the normal notes that you have on your cell phone, that you have on your computer. But I have a place especially just for kinky, middle grade, children book, French books, da da da. So I just go in my notes and I just put it inside my models on whatever the genre or the book I'm writing.
So I would even recommend that if you are using a particular voice for a particular project, that you create a new document that holds those words. So in case you are ever coming back to the project, you want to write another book with that project and you forgot what words you used as your sample, you can have access to them. So maybe not doesn't matter as much right now when you're working on it because you went and you grabbed it from your notes or something. But if you generated something and you like the way it sounds, you may want to give yourself a special document that's my voice sample or my Muse, or give it a good name that makes sense to you, where you just add it in again so that whenever you open up a project, you see what voice sample pros you used to generate most of the work in that project.
Okay,
like I said, I'm skipping, but sometimes I'm changing. Like right now, I cut out all of the words from my sample pros because I get better authorial information with no pros in there. So I'd probably get okay if I fed it something that looked structured.
Just in case, we are basically jumping into the candlelight talk. So because some people may have to jump out, so I want to say thank you to everyone to being with us for that 2-day workshop. I'm going to have my session in next week, I believe, not this week, next week, that continue on developing all those nice things that we play with. So don't miss those classes. We're going to go deeper in character and word building and outlining things like that to get the spooky story going for middle grade. So thank you very much for being with us. Stay with us. We're going to do the after candlelight talk. John?
Yes, thank you for coming. I was really a lot of fun. I'm amazing that I got to hear the stories from 3 people today that have taken this and done different things with it, and it's really cool to hear back what people are doing. And if you come up with any suggestions similar to what Manon just shared, I would love to take that stuff and add it to the extra instructions that I'm feeding to other people so they can grab stuff and learn from each other. Also, share in middle grade channel is a great place for anything that would fit there, or spicy if you like. Make sure you're on our Discord. Find our Discord, find us, and then you can chat with us and tell us different experiments you've run.
Yeah, Manon and John, yeah, we set the vibe. Sudowrite rhythm, let the stories come alive. From the spark of desire to a burning flame, we teach you the craft and you play the game. Words like waves rolling on the sea, characters dance and set your passion free. Build a world, let the fire ignite. This is how we write, erotica, write it right. Write it hard, write it true, with fire, heart, and John guiding you. Sudowrite flow, reggae groove in the night. Come learn how to shine, how to burn, how to write right. Write it hard, write it true, with fire, heart, and John guiding you. Sudowrite flow, reggae groove in the series strong, yeah, the readers stay. Cliffhangers calling, they can't look away. Plot and desire, rhythm and the beat, turn every chapter into heat so sweet. Raise your hand or drop it in the chat, we'll answer your questions, imagine that. Q&A time, we jam and we vibe. After the record stops, we still live. Write it high, write it true, with fire, heart, and John guiding you. Sudowrite flow, reggae groove in the night. Come learn how to shine out or burn out or write, yeah. Write it high, write it true, with fire, heart, and John guiding you. Sudowrite flow, reggae groove in the night. Come learn how to shine out or burn out or write. Write it high, write it bold, turn your fantasies into gold. With Manon and John, the story ignite. Sudowrite reggae, feel the love tonight, yeah. Write it high, write it bold, turn your fantasies into gold. With Manon and John, the story ignite. Sudowrite reggae, feel the love tonight. Write it high, write it true, with fire.